Hi, I'm Queenie Yu from Bullet Point News. I'm with Nasif Chowdhury, who studies recreation and sports business at the University of Waterloo. He's 19 years old and is a member of the Canadian senior men's sitting volleyball team and a member of the Team Ontario wheelchair basketball U23. Nasif, welcome to Bullet Point News.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks. Nasif, how did you get into sitting volleyball and what do you like most about being on the Canadian team?
So I originally got into sitting volleyball. I'd say I got connected to the sport in 2019. My high school was a participant at AAA OFSA, which is the provincial tournament for the top teams in the province. So my high school was invited after we had done really well in the TDSB. And then once we had gone there, one of the local refs, Les, he had got in contact with me. He saw me playing and noticed the prosthetic leg on my left leg. And he said, you know what, like if you're playing stand up regular volleyball at this level, you might be able to go national with it. Join the para volleyball team and be able to make a future out of the sport. So, when I was 17 and I heard that, I was super, super hyped, super excited. I was like, okay, like I'm very into doing it. So I joined a local club at Holland Bloorview Kids Rehab Hospital in Toronto, and I practiced with them for 2 months before I played in my first tournament. I did really well at that tournament. I won it. I won it. I had got tournament MVP, tournament all star, and then the head coach of the national team had heard about me from there, and then kind of DM'd me on Instagram and kind of said, "Hey, like my name's Jeff. Like I'm the coach for the team. I think it'd be really great if you came out to a selection camp." And I've been with the program ever since.
That's great. Where have you traveled to for competitions and what was it like?
So for me, so far I've been to Germany was my first spot. So it was Germany and Netherlands. That was a really big one because again, like I just turned 18 and we were trying to qualify for the Paralympics, and it was the first time I've gone out of the country without my family, and essentially I went with a couple of strangers that are a little older than me. The way it works on like the senior national team is like really there's no age, there's no minimum or maximum age. It's kind of like if you're good enough, you go. So I think I was 18. The next youngest player after me was like 21, and then there's a huge jump to like 30. So for me, it was definitely something crazy that I didn't think I would ever experience, but I loved it. I enjoyed it a lot. So I went to Germany with a stop in Netherlands. We've been to Oklahoma in the United States. So that's like a southern end that I haven't been to really. Obviously, I've been to like the Buffalo, New Yorks, but that was the first time I've ever gone down south. And then I had recently gone to Bosnia with a stop in Austria. So far, those are the places I've been to. Yeah.
What do you think people can learn from watching sitting volleyball games?
I think they could probably learn, a lot about the speed and the difficulty, kind of. So what people kind of assume sometimes about para sports is that they're a lot easier than their regular counterparts, but it's not really the case for any of them. And even when it comes to sitting volleyball specifically, it's the only para sport that's faster than its able-bodied counterpart. Like stand-up volleyball, it's quite fast game, but sitting volleyball is that with the same height from a lot of the players, and then on top of that, you're on a court that's a quarter of the size, or half the size. So you got 6'8" guys in front of your face hitting balls that are just as hard as anyone else's. So definitely the speed is one of the big things, and how hard it is. It's you'd think it's a lot easier than it is, but everything's hard from the movement to actually playing the ball while sitting down, and a lot of it's just super difficult that a lot of people will kind of get an insight of when they see it happen.
Ness, if you're coming to Stouffville for a special event, tell us what we could expect this Saturday, January 7th at the Leisure Center.
So a lot of exciting stuff. Honestly, I'm very excited for it. Setting volleyball is a sport that doesn't get as much of the does it's not really out there as much as the other sports. Like you hear about wheelchair basketball and things like that all the time, but it's like sitting volleyball is personally like I play them all, and sitting volleyball just nothing comes close to it. It's so much fun, and we're gonna get a lot of games going, a lot of rallies going, a lot of maybe have a couple of show off moments where I'll hit it really hard or something like that, and we'll just try and get more people to enjoy it, have some fun, and hopefully maybe they'll want to keep trying it after it's over.
So you're gonna coach them on how to do sitting volleyball.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What message would you like to convey at the Have a Go Day on Saturday?
It's kind of in the name, just give it a go. That's all it takes, really. Is when you try something new, and you could do horrible, and you can have one singular moment where you find you have some real fun, and that can be all it takes, to get you hooked onto it. And once you're hooked onto it, the good thing about sitting volleyball in Ontario is like the opportunities to play are just constantly growing. Like there's club teams that train out in Whitby, out in Scarborough, out in Toronto. Like there's so many opportunities to play it, and then once you enjoy it, playing it becomes something you kind of need to do all the time. So that's exactly what happened to me. So hopefully some youth can try it out. Like people of all ages can try it out. You're never too old to start playing it. You're never too young to start playing it. So hopefully we can just get more people to truly enjoy the sport as much as I do.
In sport, you win and you lose. Um, and people can have different attitudes when they win or lose. What do you think people can learn from doing sitting volleyball?
Well, the good thing about when it comes to the winning and losing, like I've been a part of both sides of that. When it comes to sitting volleyball, it's kind of like when I'm playing club in Toronto and I'm playing against other teams in Ontario, and I'm the number one player and I'm beating everybody by a lot, and then I get thrown to a national team and I go play against a country like, you know, Brazil or Germany, and then I'll lose a match, and it's super different, like a huge different thing, because you're like, oh, I can be the best player in my province. Then you go compare it to another country and you're like, well, it just completely changes, right? I think the good thing about it is kind of like not being defeated and kind of seeing it as exciting, because that's exactly what happened to me when I first started out with the national team. I was the worst player in the room, and then from there it was like, oh wow, I'm the worst, but like some of the guys can do some really crazy things and are really good, and it excited me enough to stick with the program, want to like do better and start putting in more hours outside of practice, and then that's when you go to international competitions. My first international competition, we didn't win a game, we didn't win a single match, but then I was so excited by with the level of talent that my team and I, we worked for it, and then we come back and we start winning a bunch of games. So winning, and when it comes to winning and losing, it's just sticking with it. And there's an exciting aspect to losing even as well. I think that this weekend, we'll be playing a lot of games. There'll be a lot of winning and losing, but as long as people stay positive, look at the bright side, it'll be a really fun experience.
Great. Nasif, thanks so much for joining us at Bullet Point News.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks. See you on Saturday, January 7th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Leisure Center.